Welcome to the town of St. Stephen's, New Brunswick. Today I'll be walking with you through the history of St. Stephen's Parish in the formerly known town of Milltown, which is now connected to St. Stephen's Town. St. Stephen's Roman Catholic Church is a two-story mid-19th century Gothic Revival church, featuring a highly decorative front facade. The building is located on Milltown Boulevard, overlooking the St. Croix River in St. Stephen's, right across from the old cotton mill. What makes St. Stephen's Parish so attractive is its heritage and historical value. This Roman Catholic church is designated as a local historic place for its architecture and for being the oldest Catholic church in the St. Stephen's area. It's a fantastic example of Gothic Revival religious architecture from the mid-19th century in St. Stephen, a maritime town. It's well known for its massing, ornate detail of its plaster in the front facade, and use for the multiple spires. These are all traditional elements of this style. It was built in 1864 by Butler and Smith, and it was decorated and designed by Matthew Steed. In 1927, the renowned artist F.X. Renault decorated the church's interior, and more recently in 2002, Marc Renault presented a plaque to the congregation in recognition of his great-grandfather's work. The Irish had a lot to add in the decor of this church. In the front facade, where we see the saint statues, we see St. Bridget, St. Patrick, St. Clare, and St. Francis, four favorites of the Irish people and their tradition. In the first congregation, there is a mix of nationalities, such as Acadian and Irish primarily, almost like the outcasts, especially since the famine for the Irish and deportation for the Acadians. They weren't the most wealthy of the citizens.
In an interview with Father Paul, he explained that some of the windows are by Guido Nincieri, known as the Michelangelo of stained glass windows. Father Paul also comments on the plaster of the walls that are starting to come off and the deterioration of the church, and how he hopes it will soon be funded to be fixed. Recently, in July 2014, they celebrated their 150th construction date, as well as their 175th year of being a parish. This church was built before Canada was a nation. The first pastor was Reverend John Cummings, originally buried behind the original church, but he was later moved to the Milltown Catholic Cemetery. The current father is Father Paul Doucette, also known as the Flying Father, as locals would endearingly put it.
St. Stephen's Parish was actually first established as a parish in 1838, but the current church building was erected in 1863. During the 19th century, because Ireland was a constituent part of the United Kingdom, British architecture continued to influence building styles in Ireland. Many prominent Irish builders were designed and built in Ireland during this period, around 1837 to 1901. The reason this affects North America is because by the 1850s, over 500,000 Irish had immigrated to the British North America, and over the past 150 years, the term Irish has acquired a more Catholic connotation in terms of religious matters. That's why St. Stephen's Parish has more of an Irish decorative feel to it in regards to the saints and the stained glass and the plaster. It also goes together with the congregation celebrating with the Irish and the Acadians.
You would think that this beautiful old parish would have tons of artifacts from 150 years ago. However, this is not so. For parishioners, while cleaning out the church and its hall a few years ago, he came across many old artifacts that unfortunately most people did not recognize the value of and threw away. One object that remained, however, was the sacristy light. This light was embellished with colored crystals and fine glass, and it was in beautiful mint condition. Other artifacts remain, such as silver crosses and medals from St. Christopher. The historic cotton mill is right across the river. Now a memorial stands across the street from the church for the cotton mill after it closed in the 1950s and can be easily accessed by foot.
St. Stephen's Parish still stands and is actively providing services to the community, including students at a nearby university who come from all over the world to study in the small town. It is hard to find someone who wasn't enchanted by the old walls that tell a tale of maritime history and architecture.